Hey guys, let's get straight to the point. The first reason why the ZV1 Mark II is not as good for me as the ZV1 Mark I is because of the lens. Specifically because of the aperture at f4. The ZV1 and the ZV1 Mark II both share the same sensor, which is a 1-inch stacked CMOS sensor, and it is not really good at low light compared to APS-C or especially full frame cameras or sensors. So you need as much light as possible to going into the sensor through the lens in order to capture images that are not as noisy, especially in low light. So for the ZV1, I always keep it at f2.8 because I didn't want it to zoom in and start changing the aperture. Hence, the exposure will start changing from f1.8 to f2.8. So I use it at f2.8. And the ISO range that I'm comfortable filming with is, of course, the lowest ISO at 125 to all the way at 1600. I think the highest I am really comfortable with is 1250. But because I have DaVinci Resolve and the noise reduction in DaVinci Resolve is really, really good. If you have DaVinci Resolve with the noise reduction function, then I am comfortable to use it at 1600 max, and 2000 ISO it's for emergency. So that's the ISO range that I use with the f2.8 aperture. If you use the ZV1 Mark II at f4, which starts at around 35mm already, if you go up to but 27mm or above, you are already at around f3.2 and above. So you are losing light when you zoom after 27mm compared to the ZV1 Mark I. At f4, compared to f2.8, you're losing one stop of light, which is double amount of light. f2.8 is double amount of light going into the sensor compared to f4. By the way, this is filming at f2.8 ISO 200 on the ZV1 Mark I, shutter speed at 1/50th of a second. This is how bright it is. I'm now going to change the aperture to f4 to show you guys how dark it is compared to f2.8. Oops, that's brighter. This is f3.2, 3.5, f4. Yeah, so this is how dark it is going to be compared to f2.8. I do a lot of low light filming, especially when I'm at the studio. A lot of times the lighting, it's not going to be super bright. They like to film in darker environment. So f2.8 ISO 1600 is already stretching the limit of the ZV1. Because of the same sensor at f4, there's no way that I can get usable footage when I'm filming at a darker environment compared to the Mark I. So that's a really big deal breaker for me. And the second thing is the lens stabilization that they removed in the ZV1 Mark II. I don't know why, probably because it's a new lens, but I really think they should keep the lens stabilization. For me, lens stabilization, it's always better than IBIS because IBIS, the in-body image stabilization on the camera, it's a sensor moving like this and sideways, roll, tilt, pan. So sometimes even with the in-body stabilization, it wobbles. So lens stabilization to me, it's always better than in-body image stabilization. And electronic stabilization, which is the active stabilization that is the only option available on the ZV1 Mark II, is the last thing I want to use because I've mentioned it in my previous videos that if you use electronic stabilization, especially on Sony cameras, I don't know about other cameras, but in Sony's camera, you will start seeing all these like fuzzy jumps in the highlight or high contrast area. If you want to take a look, you can take a look at Gerald Undun's video or Jason Vong's video where when they vlog with the light or bright background in the back, especially with high contrast, let's say trees or anything like that with the sunlight, you will start seeing all these like artifacts like jumping and fuzzy, like shaking in the highlighted area. So I really don't like that. It's really distracting, and after I start seeing that, I cannot unsee it. So I don't like electronic stabilization at all. So that's another thing. The lens stabilization on the ZV1 is really good, so I have no complaint whatsoever. It's good enough that I don't use active stabilization because I don't vlog. I know this is a vlogging camera, but I use it every day as my daily pocket size camera. I film a lot of stuff just using this camera, so I don't use active state, but the lens state is way more than enough. It's natural, it doesn't have the wobbly thing, it doesn't create the fuzzy artifact. So lens stabilization, it's really, really good. I don't know why they removed it. I feel like if they remove the lens stabilization, they should keep the price the same. So I really don't know, but that's another reason. The last reason about the lens that I feel like the ZV1 is better than the ZV2 for me, again, I have to emphasize that because last time when I did this video for the ZV-E1, someone said that like, yeah, the camera is good, but it's not good for me, at least for my purposes. So the zoom range, what the wider end 18mm, of course, is more like it's welcome. I personally don't use anything wider than 24mm because I feel like the distortion or the stretch of the lens is a little bit weird to me. At least it's not as natural. I am zooming in on the, by the way, you're looking at the ZV1, the image coming out of the ZV1, I have it color corrected in Final Cut Pro, just minor tweaks, but it looks really, really, really good. On my ZV1, I am usually filming at around like 35mm full frame equivalent or even 50. If I have to make it wider, then I will zoom out to 24. But anything wider than 24mm to me, it's a little bit too weird. So 18, not my cup of tea. But if you need it for vlogging or anything a little bit wider, yes, you will like the ZV1 Mark II. But I don't like the fact that they removed the 75mm, which is the 50 to 75mm range, because I like the compression. I like the 75mm compression. It looks really cool when you're zooming in on someone or on a subject. So I really miss that focal range, missing the 50 to 75 on the ZV1 Mark II. So that's why I don't think it's gonna work for me. The second reason why I don't think the ZV1 Mark II is gonna be good for me is because of the lack of mechanical shutter. I don't know why. Maybe it's a cost-saving thing, but or camera companies are starting to remove the mechanical shutter. Yes, you can do that if the sensor readout is fast enough. So the scanning of the electronic shutter is fast enough so you don't get all these like weird like rolling shutter and also like bending when you're taking photos, especially photos in an environment with a lot of artificial light. For example, LED light is the worst. You will start seeing all these like bright band, bright dark banding in the photos. So with the ZV1, it is a stack sensor, but it is not fast enough. So there's no way that you will be able to take pictures in an indoor environment with artificial light that you will not get the bending. I'm pretty sure you will get the bending, because if I turn on electronic shutter only on the ZV1 Mark I, it will show the bending, which is exactly the same as the ZV1 Mark II without mechanical shutter. So I really don't know why, and I don't like the fact that they removed the mechanical shutter and increased the price. Again, cost saving, but why did they increase the price when they're removing stuff? Those are the core reasons why I'm not returning my ZV1 and getting the ZV1 Mark II. Of course, the price, as I said, it's more expensive for less things. Now I'm going to talk about some minor changes that they made on the ZV1 Mark II that I don't really mind on the ZV1. Again, it's completely my personal opinions. If you have your comments or opinions, please leave them in the comment section below and let me know why you think the ZV1 Mark II is better for you. So some minor reasons. The new manual is absolutely great, super good. I use it on the A7 IV and my FX30, and I love the new manual, but I don't hate the old one. Probably because I know what's inside already. So if you're familiar with your camera and you have your camera set up not properly, but if you have it set up to a point that you don't really have to jump into the menu, then you don't really have to mind the menu. So I don't mind the old menu, to be honest with you. The functions are great, like the quick menu function bars are great. And the only thing that I think I will enjoy is the touch menu system where you can just swipe in to use all these features on the side and swipe up to get the quick menu. I think that's really good on the ZV1 Mark II that I wish the ZV1 has, because now I have to like kind of press the buttons at the back that you'll get used to it. It's a muscle memory thing. So, but then I wish that I can use the touch screen for controlling the camera. The wider lens on the ZV1 Mark II, the 18mm, I can get it on the ZV1 too. ZV1, the Mark 1. I have the adapter. I have the Ulanzi wide angle adapter that is about 18mm on the wider end. So yes, you have the option on the ZV1 to make it wider, but I don't know if anyone is going to make a telephoto adapter for the Mark II just to make up that missing 50 to 75mm focal length. So hopefully someone is going to work on it and make an adapter for the Mark II so you can get the 18 to 75, because now I have the option to go from 18 to 75 on the Mark 1. The next thing is slow motion. I don't film a lot of slow motion stuff. I usually just film max at 60 frames per second, and the 1080p 60 frames on the ZV1 is okay. Of course, ZV1 Mark II does not have 4K 60. That's a bummer, but I personally don't film a lot of slow motion stuff, so I don't really mind missing the the high frame rate mode on the Mark II, so that's not a problem for me. Because the ZV1 Mark I, the high frame rate mode, slow motions, they're okay at best. I don't think they are that usable, like 240 frames per second, 480, especially 960, they're really bad quality, so I don't use those at all. They're fun to have, but I don't use them. So that's about the slow motion. Everything else is quite similar to the Mark I comparing to the Mark II. I know they have the new microphone. I personally don't vlog, but the ZV1 Mark I microphone, it's quite good already. It's directing to the front, I'm pretty sure it is. The new one, it's all directional and you can choose the direction of the microphone. So that's great, but I don't use it all the time. I have a lav mic attached to the ZV1 right now with the wire, and it's great, it sounds great. I didn't have to do almost anything to the audio when I'm editing the video last time when I was filming on the ZV1. I was really surprised. The only thing is you're getting only mono audio channel when you are using a lav mic like this. So yes, I am not really interested in the new microphone on the Mark II. That's me again, and that's not an added feature for me at least. Now let's talk about what I was hoping the ZV1 Mark II was going to provide to us that are not there right now. At least I don't think it's going to be there. I was hoping a bigger battery. The Mark I's battery is really not that good. You can film for like, I don't know, 1 hour, and that's pretty much it at 4K. And the ZV1 Mark II has the same battery. So I don't know, like, I know this is a compact camera, they can't really fit a bigger battery, but I wish they can fit a little bit bigger of a battery so the battery life is not as bad. Of course, you can charge a battery using the USB, micro USB on the ZV1 and the USB-C on the Mark II, but still it's really cumbersome and annoying. So I wish the Mark III will have a bigger battery. That's something that I really hope for. And the next one is 10-bit footage, not 10-bit 422. I can deal with 10-bit 420. I'm really happy if they make the ZV1 Mark II having 10-bit 420 even, because the 422, 420, the difference is not that big unless you really need a lot of color information. But the 10-bit is really important. With 10-bit compared to 8-bit, 10-bit has way better highlight roll off, which is the brightest part of the image or the darkest part of the image. The transition, it's really smooth on 10-bit compared to 8-bit. So I was hoping that they will have 10-bit. If they have 10-bit, I'll probably still try to consider with the no lens tape and everything, but without 10-bit, I just don't see the reason why I'm going to upgrade or switch it to the Mark II, because there's no image quality difference. Yeah, so no 10-bit, please Mark III 10-bit even at 420. And yes, of course, the ND filter, I was hoping that they will put a stronger ND filter on the ZV1 Mark II because on the Mark I, the ND filter, the 3 stops ND filter is just not enough for a bright sunny day. Not even bright sunny day, overcast day, 3 stops is almost like nothing. I was hoping that they would put a 5 to 6 stops of ND in the ZV1 Mark II, but they did not. They kept the same 3 stops ND. On the Fujifilm X100V, they had a 5-stop ND, which is great. And I even mentioned that I wasn't strong enough for a bright sunny day. So 6 stops, it's perfect, but they didn't. So hopefully Mark III will have a stronger ND filter. And last but not least, this one is super minor. I was hoping that they will put a new processor in the ZV1 Mark II, and if I'm not mistaken, they share the same processor as the Mark I. So there's no new feature, even like software-wise. You cannot load your own LUTs. I love being able to load my own LUTs onto my FX30, and I was hoping, of course, this is a pocket-sized camera. I think that is a little bit of a stretch if I can get to load like custom LUTs onto the camera, but you will be surprised how often my friends and clients were shocked and surprised and happily that I can show them the image with my custom LUTs on the camera. So if they can use a new processor, hopefully on the Mark III, they can allow us to load our custom LUTs. That will be fantastic. And that's it. Those are the reasons why I am gonna keep the ZV1 Mark I, even though I just got it like a week before the launch of the Mark II, because this is just a better camera for me overall. It might not be a better camera to you compared to the Mark II. So definitely let me know in the comment section below if you are getting the Mark I or Mark II. I got my ZV1 Mark I at a discounted price, so I don't mind at all. You can definitely get it cheaper at a used price, but I got it at its discount, so basically all the accessories are included at the original price. But if you are getting the Mark I or Mark II, let me know in the comment section below, or if you have any other pocket-sized camera that you want to share with us, let us know in the comment section below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.